Hello everyone, we are back once again with this CPR series, and in the last video I shared with you how you can look at the CPR, and now what are we going to do? We are going to take the entire learning ahead, and in this video you are going to watch how can you take important aspects of pivot, where we will be seeing how to set up the levels. Once CPR has given you an indication, how can you set the levels on the way up and on the way down? That's what we are going to be seeing in this video. So let's go right in and check this out.
Well, now we are going to see how to use the concept of CPR and how to define certain levels, right? That's what we're going to be seeing in this particular video. And what I'm going to do is first bring to your attention certain important concepts that will help you determine how a CPR has to be read and what are the important trigger points for CPR so that you can take suitable action. And then we'll be stepping down to how to set your suitable levels for trading action, right? Let's go right in and find out how can we take that trading decision. So let me just share with you my screen, and you can see here right now that on the screen, okay, on the screen you are having certain lines. Okay, first what we have here is your central pivot range, right? The central pivot range are the three lines which are in the middle. You can see here the three lines which are in the middle are your central pivot range, correct? The range is the distance between your top pivot and the bottom pivot, while pivot is in the middle. This is what we saw in the earlier video. All right, if you have not watched the earlier video, you can check it out on the panel. Also on the video below, there is a description given. There's a link given for the previous video. You can check out about the introduction to CPR. Now, what are we doing is we are trying to go to the next level and find out more details. Now, when a CPR begins to affect a trend, right? What do we have to do is we have to see what are the important trigger points. So what are those trigger points? One of the most important trigger points in a CPR reading is your previous day high and previous day's low. So a previous day's high and a previous day's low, they give you significant importance on when a trend is going to emerge, right? A price opens above the CPR, the intention is positive. But then if it begins to move above the previous day's high, the trend begins to emerge, right? That's what we are interested in. And it's a very good trigger point. Okay, it's a very good trigger point for us to take action. So when a price moves above the previous day's high, it becomes a very good candidate for a buying opportunity. In the same way, if the price are going to move below previous day's low, again, it's going to be a very important trigger point for a selling opportunity, right? So now you have identified the CPR. You know if a price was opening above the CPR, it is a positive intention. The price opens below the CPR, it is a negative intention. Now, how can we encash this intention and how can we make some money out of it, right? That's what is the important question here. Now, how can we take some benefit out of that? For that, you have to use certain methodologies. And what I believe is that CPR is a very good tool to find out how can we detect the stocks that are going to trend. Now, when they begin to move, you need certain levels, correct? It's very important that you are able to get certain levels. And that's where the concept of Fibonacci, Camarilla, standard, floor pivots, etc. There are various types of pivoting levels that are defined and designed. Now, what am I going to do is I am going to use two very important and popular concept. Okay, two very important and popular concept which we believe at NeoTrader is very, very powerful, right? I have been using it very, very actively, and I'm going to show you how you can take advantage of it. So now I'm going to share with you how you can use the concept of Fibonacci pivots, okay? How you can use the concept of Fibonacci pivots and make a difference, right? So first let's see how you are seeing a pivot on a chart. On a pivot on a chart looks somewhat like this. You got a pivot levels here, you got the resistance on the way up, you got supports on the way down. These support and resistances help you to take action. Now, for taking action, we will first see how can we use Fibonacci pivots, right? We're going to see how can we use Fibonacci pivots so that we can make a difference. Now, when you're talking about Fibonacci pivots is based on the golden ratio. Golden ratio is a natural phenomenon. Okay, it's a natural phenomenon which is existing in the world today, and based on the natural phenomenon, the kind of proportion and symmetry which it carries, it has been incorporated into the trading world itself. And that is why you'll find that many stock market traders are actively using Fibonacci concepts in their daily routine. Factors like 38.2, 61.8, etc. are Fibonacci factors that are used to apply on the daily range, and based on that you are able to arrive at suitable levels. So what we are going to do is we are going to share with you how these levels will make a difference to your market reading. All right, so let me just share with you on this concept. Now, for example, we are defining levels based on Fibonacci. So there are levels like R1, R2, R3, which are on the upside. S1, S2, S3 are the levels to the downside. Now, if you see here, an R1, all right, an R1 is based on 38.2% of the previous day's range. So the previous day's range makes a very big difference while calculating the levels. All right, the previous day's range makes a very big difference while calculating the levels to the way up or levels to the way down. And now, when those levels are defined, now comes the time for action. So now when you're going to act, a very important zone or a no trade zone, that's very critical, right? When the market opens, the biggest thing which mystifies many of the trader is a wrong trading decision. But then when you are equipped with the right kind of tool, with the right kind of mindset, you will always take the right decision. Correct? Now, for that, when you are using a Fibonacci pivot, the levels not to act is R1 and S1. So if it does not cross R1 or if it does not cross S1, that means that the prices are in a no trade zone, right? I hope you're getting it. The prices are in a no trade zone. You can see here, it can happen that the prices may spend multiple days in a no trade zone. But then the best part is that when the prices are between R1 and S1, the stock or the index is in a no trade zone. And when a stock or security is in a no trade zone, it's best to stay away. Now comes the question of when should we take action? You should take action when the prices are crossing R1, right? Or the prices are going below S1. It doesn't matter above R1, below S1. The point here is that when a price begins to move above R1 or below S1, then you have a trade on your hand. Above R1, it's a positive trade. Below S1 is a negative trade. So the long trade, short trade gets triggered when these thresholds are crossed. You can see here. Now we move on to another concept called as the profit booking zone. For a profit booking zone, all right, for a profit booking zone, you have got something called as R3. R3 is 100% of the previous day's range. R3 is 100% of the previous day's range, and it's a very good zone to book profit. If you see, in my years of trading, I've always found that R3 is a very good profit booking zone. So every time the prices move above R1, you will see that it will halt at R3. If the momentum is strong, it would break above R3. So there are other ways to deal with that, but then you will find majority of the trades, they get stuck at R3. So R3 is a very strong profit booking zone, and one should never ever ignore it, because whenever it goes to R3, the prices always have a challenge. The prices always have a challenge to moving higher. Now, if you see here, I have also incorporated the Camarilla pivot. So when you are combining the Camarilla pivot, right? When you're combining the Camarilla pivot, it makes it very easy for us to act. Why? Because if a price is going to above Camarilla pivot, it's moving above a very important cluster zone. And now when the prices are able to move above the CPR, it clearly is indicating a bullish intention. And then further, if it begins to move above R1, there is more bullishness in play. You can see here, there is more bullishness in play when the prices are moving above R1. So essentially, whenever you are going to take a trade, there are certain filtrations which you could adopt, and that will make your life very easy. The first filtration is that if a price is trading above the CPR, right? If a price is trading above the CPR, and the second filter is if the prices are moving above the previous day's high. Okay, if the prices are moving above the previous day's high, and the third filter is if the prices are crossing R1. It qualifies for a very good trading candidate. Why am I saying that? Because the chances of that particular trade to give you a favorable result is much, much higher, right? We all are working on chances. So when you take a look at such kind of filtration, automatically your ability to look at the market improves a great deal. So you can see here that when such moves begin to happen, you automatically are able to get a very strong move to the upside. Like you can see here, whenever a price is going to go above R1, you will see that the prices are moving higher. Plus, along with that, if it crosses the previous day's high. So let me just show you some examples which will give you some clarity on what exactly am I saying. You can see here on this chart, right? You can see here on this chart that the prices are opening above the CPR. The prices are opening above the CPR. The prices are moving above the CPR. And the moment the prices are crossing R1 and they are also crossing the previous day's high, you can see that the prices are moving very swiftly to the way up. You can see here it moves further, and then it halts at R3. You can see here always there will be a halt at R3. Now, in the same way, if you want to take a look at the way down, let me just show you another example. Let me just show you another example. You can see here now, right? The prices are opening below the CPR. Correct? The prices are opening below the CPR, then they travel below S1, right? They travel below S1 and they move below the previous day's low, and then the fall accelerates. It goes all the way till S3, right? And at S3, like I said, the prices will take a breather. So you can see here that these are very, very important points which are getting defined. And when you start taking a trading decision based on these kind of filtration, combining it with the CPR, it will make a very, very big difference. Well, there are various kinds of CPR about which I'll be discussing in another video. But now let us try and get an understanding of how, when combining CPR along with these kind of Fibonacci levels, will help us a great deal to get some perspective and some trading actionable levels. All right. So now, having said that, let's now move on further. Let's now move on further and find out how can we use Camarilla pivots, because Camarilla pivots is another fantastic way to participate in the market. There are two styles of pivoting. Now, if you want additional levels, it's always available with Camarilla pivot. Camarilla pivot is a fantastic way to trade the markets. It was a pivoting methodology developed by Nick Stott, who is a currency trader. And he thought that, why don't I develop certain other ways to generate more levels for us to participate? And that's how Camarilla pivot came about. And it gave very good idea of market participation, especially when there is a good trend in place. Whenever there is a good trend in place in any particular security, you will always have a very good level from Camarilla. So now, when you're talking about Camarilla pivot, right? When you're talking about the Camarilla pivot, you can know that yes, if a Camarilla pivot is applied, there are again certain thresholds which are important. Okay, there are again certain thresholds which are important. And in Camarilla pivot, right, the levels of H4, okay, the levels of H4 on the upside and L4 on the downside. H4 on the upside and L4 on the downside. So basically, we are concentrating on higher levels. So based on the kind of design of Camarilla pivot, the H4 and the L4 are important trigger points. Now you will see more often than not that if a prices are unable to cross H4, you will find that the prices are unable to move ahead, be it H4 or be it L4. You will always see that there will be hardly any movement. The moment prices are able to cross H4 or L4, then you will see a fantastic move in either direction. So essentially, whenever you are participating in the market, these are the levels to track using the Camarilla pivot. So now, if you take a trade beyond H4, H5, H6 would be your target zone. If you take beyond L4, L5, L6 will be your target zone. So anytime you take a trade, the moment the prices crosses H4, you can see a very swift move to the way up. The moment it crosses L4, you will see a swift move to the way down. And again, L6 or H6 prices will take a breather, right? So pivot gives you multiple ways to approach the market. That's the whole idea. So pivot gives you multiple ways to approach the market, and that is the beauty of pivot. You got these levels very well defined, and when CPR is added, you can see here that when a CPR is added, automatically you know that yes, I'm able to take a very good trade to the upside or to the downside, but then I'm able to get that effect. I'm able to get that effect when a CPR is in play. So what are we seeing here? We are seeing here a continuous display of combination of strength of CPR as well as the pivoting approaches, advanced pivoting approaches of Fibonacci and Camarilla. And when they both combine, you get very, very good perspective. Now, the question which all of you are currently running through in your mind is, how am I going to find all these stocks? How am I going to get the qualified trade? How am I going to do it in a much better way? You don't have to worry. We have your back. You can see here in this particular chart, the moment the prices are going below your L4, right? The moment the prices are going below L4, you are seeing a very, very sharp decline. You're seeing a very, very sharp decline. So that's the benefit of using a Camarilla pivot, right? When you use a Camarilla pivot, you know that yes, the moment it crosses H4, you see a very, very strong move to the upside. So combining CPR with these kind of factors, right? Prices above the CPR, moving on the previous day's high and crossing H4 or crossing L4. This makes it very, very good for you. And this makes it very, very interesting for you to participate in the market. Now, the question which all of you will be having in your mind is, so many stocks, so many movements. How do I track it? Well, don't worry, we have your back. We have made all these things very simple and we have done it in NeoTrader. So now I'm about to show you how you can do it in a smarter way because all of us are interested to do work smartly. And let me just show you how you can do it in a much more efficient manner. This is my NeoTrader dashboard from where I can get to see exactly what the market is doing and how I should be acting. And now we are discussing about CPR. So I have got my pivoting approaches put in right here. So I got Fibonacci, Camarilla, and CPR. So let's get into the CPR page and find out how can we look at the markets better. And we want to look at the markets better and we want to look at it in a smarter way. So like I mentioned to you, this CPR page that we have designed is a very, very exhaustive page, which gives you a great amount of detail. So let's take a first look at the heat map. All right. So let's take a look at the heat map. There's a CPR heat map where we have got various kinds of details here. You can see here there are various toggles which talks about how to find out a stock which is active at the moment. You can, this is an auto refresh option which you can take it off and then you can keep it on. So constantly the data will keep refreshing and show you various kinds of situation during the day during the week and during the month. So all kinds of data are processed here. So let's take it step by step. So you can see here that on the heat map, first we have got something called as a CPR wide and CPR narrow. We'll speak about it in the later videos, but just to give you an idea, we spoke about the range, right? So in this video, we spoke about types of ranges. So CPR wide and CPR narrow are classified as the market happens. So on the end of a particular trading day, you will have the names which is reflected here. As you can see here, at the end of the day, after 4 p.m., you will see the names for the next trading session for an intraday play. So as you go down, what I have done is I had done a grading. So what we have included here, we have included here a grading based on the kind of situation based of the previous day's high or of the previous day's low. Then if it is getting qualified in terms of crossing the R1, right? If it's crossing the R1, it will come under the Fibonacci heat map. If it is going to cross H4, it will come under the Camarilla heat map. So this way, we have been using CPR for trend identification, and we have been using Fibonacci and Camarilla to set our levels. All right. So that way we will know exactly how we need to act. And you can see here that if a stock is getting qualified as a level 1 candidate, it appears right at the top. And please note that the color of the symbol, okay, the symbol name is reflected here, right? The symbol name is reflected here, and it is a dark green. If the symbol name is reflected here and it is a dark red, that means that the best grading. Now we have got level 1, level 2, level 3 based on the three criteria that I mentioned. You have got on the buy side and you have got on the sell side, which is a color indication. So you can see here, it is a very visually appealing and a very exhaustive dashboard. We have covered CPR wide and narrow. We are giving you trade setups based on the kind of things which I discussed here. And also we are giving you a perspective of time frame. You can see here that there are various time frames here, which is daily, weekly, and monthly. So you know exactly how the stock is positioned, how the stock is positioned on daily, weekly, monthly. A stock which is having all green, okay, which is having all green, is positive as per the CPR, across time frame. So in one time frame, you can see across multiple time frames. So that is the beauty of technology combining with technical analysis. And you can see here that here, for example, TechM, all three dots are green, but still it is in level 2. So we'll wait for it to move to level 1. Now, what is the benefit of such a heat map? When such a heat map is available for you, you can automatically know where is the buzz, which stock should I see, what is the kind of criteria which it needs to comply, so that you can go to your software and put the relevant triggers. That's the advantage of having a technology assisting you in your trading decision. All the time, trading decision is important, but then if you are not having the clarity, your decision could go wrong. Now, there are concepts in CPR like NR7, right? NR7, WR7, these are very interesting concepts which have been designed by Franklin Ochoa. Now, how do you get that? If you are to do it humanly, it's a big ask. But then what we have done is we have incorporated it in a very beautiful way. You can see here that based on the movement, the colors will get changed. If the movement is positive, like you can see here, for example, right at the top, the movement is positive, it will be green. Movement is negative, it will be red, correct? And you can see here now, there is WR7, there is NR7, which takes care of the concept of WR7 and NR7. And we will be discussing about this in the upcoming series of videos. But then just to give you a perspective, this talks about in the last 7 trading sessions. So if it is on the daily, right? In this particular page, we are referring to the daily. Let me just show you. You can see here that there is daily, there is monthly, and there is weekly. All right. And what are we doing? We are running through a set of stocks, right? This set of stocks, and then there is a concept of volatility around the CPR. Okay, there is a concept of volatility around the CPR, which is captured in the whipsaw ups and downs. So whipsaw ups and downs captures the volatility around the CPR and tells you, yes, if you are trading this particular counter, then you could experience some volatility. So beware, right? That's the objective of this particular tab. And if your stock is featuring here, then you should know. So how will I know if my stock is featuring here? All I have to do is do a find here, and then for example, Colpal, right? You can see here that Colpal is there in three places. Yes, it is in a level 3, and that is the reason why there is no trend emerging. Stock which you want to trade is in level 3, plus it is also in a whipsaw up. So there is a possibility of a whipsaw and it may go up, but then there is some volatile scenario emerging there. So I'll beware. Now let's check out the other feature. Many of you have been trading Virgin CPR, but how to find it? Where exactly is a Virgin CPR and how can I take advantage of it? All that is also covered here in the CPR gap up and gap below segment. In this segment, we take care of Virgin CPR, and this particular section is updated at the end of the day to give you an idea for the next trading day. So what we are doing is we are enabling every CPR trader on the planet to make sure that they get the right kind of mindset. They have the right kind of cues before the next trading day begins. Well, if you're not an intraday trader, not a problem. We have you covered as well. So you can see here that in this particular section, we have got something called as a week, correct? So when you go for a week, you have a CPR section. Okay, you have a CPR section which is dedicated to all the trading setups. It's dedicated to all the trading setups that are emerging for the week. Now you can see here, now based on this, right? For example, based on this weekly scenario, Lalpat Lab is in level 2. So probably as an intraday play, right? On an intraday play, you can see here that it is in level 1. So there has been a movement on the lower time frame. Now there is high possibility of this particular counter to move up. So let's take a look at it and let's wait out and see what really needs to happen. So you can see here that on the weekly CPR, it is showing some positivity. Daily, there is already some movement. So yes, there could be some trend emerging. Now, in the same way, we saw in TechM, right? It was at level 3. But now, if you see here, it is at level 1. So already on a higher time frame, it is qualifying. So you can see here that there are two circles, a higher time frame and a lower time frame. So what have we done? We have done a top-down approach, and a top-down approach is very important when you're going into the market, the markets, the sector, and the stock. So this theme is followed everywhere in NeoTrader, so that as a trader, your perspective is clear, your strategy is clear, and when you're going to take a trade, the objective of making money is realized. So you can see here a similar setup, level 1, level 2, level 3, and the shades will differ. And again, the WR7 and the NR7 is captured very well here for you to know, okay, this is what is the scenario, and this is on the weekly time frame. So you know exactly how a trend can emerge, because these are scenarios where you can identify what is the kind of scenario on a weekly chart or on a daily chart or on a monthly chart. So you can see here, there are not many whipsaws seen here right now. And this particular page is updated at the end of every week. So based on the weekly data, you get these flashes here, and you will continue to see its movement through the day and then through the week, right? Now, if you are interested in an even higher time frame, okay, if you're interested in an even higher time frame, all you have to do is go to the month. And you can see here that based on the monthly CPR, this is the scenario. So everything is covered. And when you're going to take a trade, this kind of detailed structuring always helps you, because you know that yes, if there is a CPR narrow on a monthly basis, so auto refresh was on, so you can see here that the auto refresh brought me back to the daily. Now if I turn the auto refresh off, then I again go back to the month, you can see here that these are the monthly narrow and these are the monthly wide. Come the end of the month, this entire list will change. So you have got a facility to create your own watch list as well, right? You got a facility to create your own watch list. What you could do is, suppose you find a set of stocks which you like. All you have to do is, based on my monthly list, okay, I am finding these stocks to be good on the buy side, these stocks to be good on the downside. So all I have to do is I have to click on this option and I can create my own watch list. Now you can see here there are certain watch lists on H4 and L4 based on Camarilla. So now I can go here and I can create my own watch list, add these stocks to my watch list, and I can ensure that if those stocks are having some action, I add my stocks at the end of the month, and during the day, during the week, I trade them. So now, for example, if I put here on a daily chart and then I select my monthly L4, okay, then I know that yes, these are the stocks that are showing some downward movement. These are the level one stocks, and level one stocks are the ones which I'm interested to trade. One is my trading list, one is my tracking list. So my tracking list comes from the level 2 and level 3. And when I go here, I have got the option to do all the activities. Now, if I want the CPR levels, we also have it in the level section. So you got the heat map, which tells you on a visual basis. Now, if you want to go down to the details and find the levels are available here. You can see here, these are the levels of the entire, you can see the entire basket. In Neo Trader, we have got the Nifty 500, and in the Nifty 500, we have done the further bifurcation. So now let's again go back to the FNO space, and then based on the FNO space, you can see here that these are the daily. Now I can go for the monthly CPR levels. What are the R1 levels? What are the S1 levels? So everything is made available to you so that you are able to track any stock you want, however you want. And in this CPR page, if you are looking at it from a CPR perspective, the entire scenario is made available for you. Be it a daily, be it a weekly, be it a monthly, you will always be able to get the right kind of insight on any stock which is under the basket of NSE 500. All right. I hope you got a very good idea on how to look at the CPR on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis. And this is how we have structured it in the entire page.
Well, you have seen how you can decode the trends with CPR and how you can set up the levels. We have seen how to use the concept of Fibonacci, we have seen how to use the concept of Camarilla, and how beautifully we have incorporated it in NeoTrader. That's what we do. We help you simplify analysis, and that's what I have showcased to you in this particular video. If you liked what I shared, and if your mind has opened up to a whole new perspective, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button of our YouTube channel if you're here for the first time, and also share your comment and give a like to this video, because your love and support is what brings us back on the internet to share with you such interesting concepts. Till I see you again in the next video as part of the series, this is Raja Venkatraman signing off.